that you should be independent. You should be rational. Just really quick, for those of you who still hear selfishness as a bad word, if I'm selfish, I wanted my best for my life, and I go do something to you that harms your life, I assert that I'm giving you permission to do that to me. Okay? The golden rule, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. That's all there is to it. So a selfish person wouldn't do something to the other person they didn't want done to themselves. In other words, they wouldn't violate the rights of that person in any way if they themselves wanted their own rights preserved and expected them to be preserved. If you don't expect your rights to be preserved, you don't want your rights, go ahead and violate the other person's rights. By all means, we have prisons available for people like that. Selfish doesn't mean harming other people. Selfish means helping yourself. And anything that harms yourself is not selfish, by definition, by simple definition. Now, ethics is the code of values that benefits your life. So all of the things like you should be rational, you should be honest, you should stand up for your values, have integrity. You can test all of these things by having a society that does not value rationality, a society that does not value honesty, a society that does not value the individual working for their own betterment, that thinks the individual should work for society's betterment or whatever. You can look at societies like that. It would be unethical to create one, but you can look at them very, very closely in history. Very closely, in a way that the people in those societies themselves couldn't look at their own society. We can look back at them in higher detail with the panoramic view of history. We don't have the myopic up-close view where we don't understand what's going on. That is the laboratory of ethics, is history. Any injunction you hold to be ethical, you should accept other people's religions, or maybe the ethical injunction, you should follow Christ. Look at history and see what happens to societies that practice that injunction or some injunction similar to it. And that is where we find out about ethics to begin with. We learn about the history of what Greece did, and then what Rome did. And we learn about the Reformation, the Renaissance, the Enlightenment, the American Revolution, the First and Second World War. We learn about history, and that is a large part of where we get ethical injunctions, from political history and also from biographical history, the history of the biographies of certain major individuals. One would think a youngster would be bad off if he didn't study the life of Aristotle and Alexander the Great, Newton, Galileo, Copernicus, Kepler, Avogadro, and Max Faraday, and a few others. One would think that those should be taught to children to get the ethical injunctions, the ethical absolutes out of them that are available. Because you can't run experiments in ethics, it'd be unethical. As witness Nazi Germany. Say, I want to take Kant, Hegel, and Marx and put them together under one roof and run everybody in that society under that system. You couldn't do that. First of all, it would lead to all-out war, which it did, led to half a century of war. Second of all, it would lead to total mass genocide, which it did. And third, it would lead to starvation and the decrepit breakdown of the daily lives of everybody in the nation, which it did. The only reason they are in a good position where they are today is because America invaded and shoved a copy of our Constitution down their throat. So anyways, just wanted to put that to rest. Ethics is scientific. It is objective. If you don't think it's objective, you go live on a desert island and take the ethical injunctions I offer and ignore them all, or act actively against them. Be constantly irrational, for example, or act in ways that don't make you happy, constantly, just as a matter of absolute habit, constantly. Do things that hurt and harm you. Do things that frustrate your desires for tomorrow. Do all this and see how long you live. And then tell me ethics isn't testable and objective. It's as real as the air you breathe. Ethics is your life. And to say that it's not scientific is to say that your life isn't scientific. Your life is an absolute. And when it goes out, when the light that is you is snuffed out, you can't say that wasn't an objective fact that's just passed away. Ethics is the science of preserving and enhancing your life. Ethics has to be a code of value for the individual. Can't be for the group or for the society. There is something called politics. There's a branch that comes after ethics, necessarily develops from ethics. And that's a different story. But ethics, let us remember, is scientific. It's as scientific as your life is real. Now I close with a quick quote from Daniel C. Dennett in the Four Horsemen interview with Dennett, Hitchens, Dawkins, and Harris. He says, quote, "It's a real mystery why capitalism is still not valued today, despite overwhelming evidence of its beneficence to human life." End quote. It's not really a mystery if you look at the fact that all of our ethical injunctions that we give to people, from the Sermon on the Mount, the Bible, and Jesus, and altruism, and Gandhi, all of our ethical injunctions are against the individual human life's happiness. So if you say we should suffer, we should help others, we should sacrifice. Fine, leave that to one side. Hey, I've got a society for you where everybody could be happy. The hell good is that? We should suffer and we should sacrifice. We should be selfless and live for others. Or here's a society where everybody could be happy. You could go after your own happiness. Oh, that's no good. What the hell good is that? People who are into altruism and Christianity, I mean serious Christianity, not the ninny-pinny people we have running around today in America who have their 5-day-a-week job and they think that just because they prayed last month or something, they're Christians. Bullcrap. Real Christians and real Muslims, real religious people who are serious, that they pray constantly and they actually follow the Bible when it says give away all your wealth and follow Jesus. They don't go out and buy an SUV. They're not hypocrites and idiots like that. It's a very small minority. Most of them live in Africa. Most of them are starving to death. But the ones that are there, the ones that actually live these systems, you can see they are not concerned about a lifestyle where everybody can have their own way. Freedom is not something interesting to them. And as Edna Farber said when she went to Russia, she saw all the masses of people dressed in rags. And she said, and she didn't see anyone, nobody, that was well dressed. Anywhere. Poverty was universal when she visited there in the 30s. And she said how wonderful it is to see everybody equally shabby. They do not want what's better for human life. It requires the injunctions of the science of ethics. You have to actually believe that your life is of value. If you don't believe your life's of value, ethics won't do you any good, and you could end up in a furnace like Soviet Russia. If your life is of value, then you do need ethics to guide you to the ultimate goal of your own happiness. Ethics is as scientific as your life is real.